Welcome to the Onion Buns. So today we're gonna try a second survey. It's gonna be another political one. Having a little trouble finding the non-political ones online right now, so we're just gonna go with the political one again. And yeah, last week was fun. It was interesting, and according to the last survey, and I'll link at the end of the video to the last episode of surveys. So let's take this and we'll see how this one turns out. All right, so we have the political compass. 24 years. Test. Just a few propositions to start with concerning no less how you feel, how you see the country and the world. Okay. If economic globalism is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Strongly agree. I don't agree that globalization is inevitable, but if we're going on the premise that it is inevitable, then I strongly agree it's got to serve humanity and not transnational corporations. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I disagree with that. I love my country, but right now we have a absolutely disgusting government, and honestly, I don't support them. I don't support them. Okay? No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I strongly disagree with that. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Yeah, I'm going to go with disagree. I'm not even sure what they're shooting for here. Are they talking culture? Are they talking ethnicity? Are they talking skin color? Like that question is just way too vague. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'm going to disagree with that too. The enemy of my enemy is still an enemy. You can find common ground with an enemy, but it's only temporary. It doesn't make him my friend. It just makes him a convenience. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Yeah, that's a hard one. That really is a hard. I'm going to go with agree, because if you're fighting somebody who is not following international law, then you're handcuffing yourself if you're playing by the rule book and you're allowing them not to. You know, I don't know. I don't agree with attacking somebody, but if somebody attacks me, case in point, when I was younger, some guy I knew, he was going out with one of my ex-girlfriends, and he got it in his head I wanted her back, and I didn't, but that's what was in his head. So he challenges me to a fight, and we go into the back alley, and first thing he does is kick me in the balls with steel-toed boots. Okay, I lost that fight for obvious reasons. So about a month later, he decides he wants to have another fight. And I didn't want to, but eventually, okay, fine, let's go have this fight. So we square off, and suddenly he's like, okay, there'll be no hair pulling and no kicking and no na. I'm like, buddy, it's what you did. I didn't do any of this shit. You know, and so we started fighting, and the first thing he did is grab my hair. And I said, screw it. I grabbed him by the hair, and I punched him so hard that I knocked him out. And yeah, it's like, same thing. He wasn't following rules, so why should I be stuck following rules? There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly agree. Like, I don't give a shit what any celebrity has to say, and I don't think celebrities should have a podium. They should be limited to the exact same thing that regular people are. But they have a podium. They have an outlet. The media covers them, and they spew the stupidest shit. So yeah, I completely agree with that. All right, people are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. Yes, I agree with that. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Inflation is unemployment. They're connected. I mean, I'm going to disagree because they're connected. You control unemployment and you control inflation. They're hand in hand. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Depends who's doing the regulation. Like, we kind of have that in Canada right now, and Trudeau and Carney and Freeland and the NDP and the Liberals, they fucked our country. They've completely fucked our country with the regulations. So I'm going to disagree with this because in principle I agree, but in reality I disagree because we've seen far too many corrupt political figures use those regulations to their own agendas. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. I'll go with agree. Again, it's so vague, I really don't know what they're trying to say here, but I mean, do what you can within your own abilities and do what you can within your own needs. The freer the market, the freer the people. To a point. It is a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded consumer. Oh, I strongly agree with that. Pisses me off every time I have to go pay for water, but land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought. I disagree with that. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Well, again, what are they talking about? I hear daily that Musk hasn't contributed to society, but that's flat out bullshit. Musk has contributed great to society. He's also made a massive fortune doing it, but he's contributed greatly. But those on the very, very, very far alt left, they want to demonize him for his fortune. So yeah, I strongly disagree with this. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I do agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit. I disagree with that. The rich are, I disagree. Though you listen to some of the modern day lefties and they think the rich should, it should hit a certain point and then the rich shouldn't get any of the money afterwards. And I'm like, no. You build a company, you build a brand, you reap the rewards. Now, I do believe, like I said in the last video, Canada is taxed, I believe, 50 to 65% for the ultra rich. I've got no problem with that. And they pay a huge amount of taxes doing that, but they still collect money for themselves. Where I've heard many times over from people I know that are alt-left that, well, your first million should be taxed at 50%, and then after that you should be taxed at 100%. And it's like, no, then why would they bother building anything? If they can't get any rewards for their work and their ideas, why would they do it? It's not up to them to make everybody else wealthy. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards. No, I strongly disagree with that. But I believe in universal health care. I think society would be much better suited if everybody had access to the exact same health care. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I agree with that, but society should penalize governments that mislead the public. A genuine free market requires restriction on the ability of predator to create monopolies. Okay, they're talking about, yeah, monopolies are bad, so I agree. Or a genuine free market requires restrictions? Yes. All right. Abortion. I hate the abortion topic. When the woman's life is not threatened, should it out? No. Disagree. Actually, they worded that one really well. I approve of abortion, but I do not approve of abortion as a means of birth control. There's far too many other birth controls out there. There's the pills, there's condoms. At some point, we have to take responsibility for our own actions. Definitely, if the life is threatened, or if she's raped, if it's a rape child, then absolutely abortion, 100%, if they want it. But if they're just going to the bar, getting drunk, and end up pregnant because they screwed some dude, yeah, sorry, that's on you. That's not up to society to fix. That's your own problem. All authority should be questioned. Agree. Always question. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I do agree with that when it comes to criminal justice. Actually, I'm going to change that to strongly agree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums. See, I have a problem with this. I agree with the theater part. Like, theaters are theaters, but museums, those are not theaters. So the question itself I disagree with, because museums are educational, therefore that should be a part of taxpayer money. But theaters, no, we shouldn't be paying for theaters. Theaters are just entertainment. So I wish they had a indifferent one here. I guess I'll go with disagree, but that's just because of the lack of choice. Schools should not make classroom absolutely disagree. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own. Fuck that. That's segregation. And yeah, all that does is it allows the charismatic of one faction to influence everyone else in their faction because they don't hear opposing opinions. Good parents sometimes have to spank their... I know this is going to be unpopular, but I agree with this. There is times where children should be spanked. It shouldn't be the go-to. It should be a last resort, and it should be tempered with some common sense. As I said in the last video, I knew a guy, his mother would put him in the bathtub, pull down his pants, and whip him with a willow branch until he bled. That is absolutely, fundamentally child abuse. Just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you can only use words so often. If the kid's not listening, you're going to have to give him a good whacking, him or her, a good whacking on the behind. And that's not child abuse, as long as you don't take it too far. It's natural for children to keep some... Oh, absolutely. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I agree. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generations to find jobs. I strongly agree with that. I think there is far too much ideology in modern day public schools. And I don't care if it's right wing or if it's left wing, it has absolutely no place in public education. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be... Oh, fuck off. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I do agree with that. Maybe not the most important thing, but understanding there's lines is something that seems to be missing in society today. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. I agree with that. Now, some cultures unfortunately do push what people would call savage, but I don't think that's how do you put that? I don't think there's many cultures that do that. So in general, I agree that there is no savage and civilized people. There's just different cultures. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity, I agree with that 100%. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I agree. I try to do this, but sometimes it just gets in your head and you can't think of anything else. First-generation immigrants can never fully be integrated within a strongly disagree. It's all about do they want to be integrated. That's really what it comes down to. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all. No, strongly disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent in its content, should receive. Absolutely, positively agree. And we're talking about broadcasting media. No media at all should get public funding. None. Because the minute you start, well, take a look in Canada. You got the CBC, the CTV and Global, and the Globe and Mail, and a few others collecting money from the Liberals. And as soon as that happened, their integrity went out the window. They became water carriers for the Liberals. And that's terrible. And in the States, well, I don't know if I think some of them are funded through the old USA aid thing, but that's changing now. But, you can have your bias, but it can't be through public funding. If you're doing public funding, which I don't think any media should ever get, then you have to be unbiased, completely 100% unbiased and nonpartisan. And I don't think anyone is anymore in the media. All right. And how you see the wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. In Canada, it's not counterterrorism that's killing our civil liberties, it's the support of terrorism. In Canada, in the States, I could see this being true. But no, I'm going to disagree because we're not seeing that in Canada. We're seeing the flip where it's the terrorist organizations that are getting all the sympathy. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all of the arguments that delay progress. Okay, this is what Trudeau said when he's like, I deeply admire the Chinese dictatorship because it allows them to get things done. Okay, it might allow them to get things done, but I can't call that an advantage. I just can't. Dictatorships should never be justified. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. I kind of do agree with this. I understand there's a line that we could go over, but I don't think we've gone over that line. But the only people I really photo radar was a big deal here in Edmonton for a while. They got rid of it. And my answer to that was always, don't speed. You are not the victim because you got a photo radar ticket. You are the problem. Stop speeding. Do you know how many photo radar, I'm 59 years old. Do you know how many photo radar tickets I've gotten in my lifetime? 1. That's it. 1. Whereas my brother knew a guy, he was on disability and he was collecting $1,500 a year in photo radar tickets. And you'd say, just stop speeding. And he's like, no, it's the cops. It's their fault. We shouldn't have photo radar. I should be able to drive the speed I want to drive. No, that's not the law. It's stupid. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious. Absolutely. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Disagree. In corporations, you will have that design. You know, you have your boss, you have the workers, great. But in society, no. In society, everybody should be equal, in my opinion. Unless they do something to lose that right. Like if you're a criminal or, you know, something like that, then you lose that right. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. They can go fuck themselves. I love abstract art. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Depends on the crime. Again, it's one of these questions. It's the answer I want is right in the middle between disagree and agree. It depends on the crime. Minor crimes, rehabilitation. Serious, violent crimes, punishment. So I'll go with disagree, but again, I really want to put it right between them. It is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate. I agree. As I just said, violent crimes, it's about punishment. Rehabilitation does nothing to the violent criminals. The business person of a manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Oh, the business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I mean, again, it depends what you're talking about. Like, I'm a big reader, so I love writers, but I hate the writers in Hollywood right now. So, you know, it comes down to what they're writing. Artists, the same thing. It's like, is the AI thing that people bitch about on the AI is like, that's never bothered me because there is real artists who I absolutely love. And then there's stuff like Picasso that, well, it's famous and it's worth $1 billion. I don't get it. I really don't get it. To me, it's garbage. I don't get it. You know, so it's the same thing for business people and manufacturers, you know. In their own confines, they are important. But in the confines of writers and artists, the writers and artists are. So again, if they gave me the option, I would take the neutral option in the middle. I guess I'm going to disagree with this because it doesn't fit everything, but mothers may have careers, but I don't agree with that. Mothers can have careers. You know, just, if they want to work, let them work. You know, almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental. I disagree strongly. Now, I've been preaching to get rid of pollution for decades, but what they call climate science and global warming is just, they don't even call it global warming anymore. Now they call it climate change. You know, they just changed the terminology to fit the era. You know, just get rid of pollution as best you can, you know, and through technology, I firmly... The other part of that is I've been saying for decades that we should be in space. And I firmly believe if we went into space, first off, we wouldn't have overpopulation on the Earth because we could put a lot of those people into space. So right there would cut down on the human impact on the Earth. But also technology, like, we don't know what's in space, minerals, resources, like, until we get up there and we find it, we don't know what's up there and how much it would benefit us on Earth. Maybe there's a way to drastically cut down on pollution and everything. We just haven't gone into space to find it yet. So making peace with the establishment is an important aspect. Oh, absolutely. All right, what do we got here? If you got through that okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Oh God, here we go. Astrology accurately explains... Actually, that's very true. You cannot be moral with... Oh, I strongly disagree with that one. Some of them, over my many years, some of the most horrible people I've met were religious. Organized religion, in my opinion, is an atrocity. If you want to be a good person, be a good person. You don't need God, you don't need Buddha, you don't need any religion to tell you you're a good person. Just be a good person. Do the right thing. Be moral. That's it. Charity is better than societal security as a means of helping the genuinely disagree. Charity is awesome. Don't get me wrong. Charity is absolutely awesome. And if you can do it, be charitable. But you can't rely on other people's charity. And if you can't rely on other people's charity, you need that social security. Otherwise, though, the people that need the social security are going to fall through the cracks. Some people are naturally, I agree with that. It is important that my child's school instills absolutely disagree. Religion, like ideology, has no place in school. School is supposed to be about learning. If you want religious, go to your church, your temple, your mosque, your whatever, synagogue. And if you want ideology, that's on your parents. And I guess nowadays politicians, which is another problem, but no. School should be about learning, math, science, English, French, German, whatever country you're in, physical education, home ec, all the traditional stuff. All right, a look at sex. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Strongly disagree. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I agree. Though, as an adopted child myself, nowadays I agree. When I was adopted in 1970, absolutely would have strongly disagreed, because if I was raised by two women or two men that were homosexuals in the 70s, my life would have been atrocious in school. It would have been terrible. But that was the culture and the era back then. That was society back then. It's changed now, so nowadays I agree. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult. Oh, absolutely. If you're not hurting anyone, all the power to you. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Absolutely agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. That's a hard one. See, I really do believe that in the modern era, a lot of kids in the schools are being indoctrinated into this. And it's not a natural progression. But I do agree that there probably is some that do naturally progress. So again, it's one of those questions. I would be between the disagree and the agree. I guess I'll go with disagree, but yeah, I'm in between the two because I see both sides of that issue. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I agree. I do agree with that. All right, so let's see where I stand. So I come in, okay, this is closer than the last one. The last one had me over here as a far left. This has me more center left, which is more fitting of what I always tell people. I'm a centralist. I go a little to the right on military, law and order, and fiscal issues. I go a little to the left on social issues. So they have me at a left, authoritarian left. I can accept that. That makes absolute sense to me. Let's see what they say about that. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So they're saying I'm actually, okay, so what was that one then? Yeah, they had me here for this, but when you come down your political compass, they have me further to the left again as a libertarian. Not quite as far to the far left as the last one had, but still pretty soundly left wing. And again, I still view myself as a centralist, even though these ones keep telling. But what I find in these surveys is they also miss out on a lot of questions, or they don't supply the answer I'm looking for. So anyway, yeah, that would, again, so we're 2 for 2 on saying I'm left wing. And yet, daily, still, I'm called a far right, Trump lover. You know, it makes me laugh. It really does. So yeah, they have me right here as a left-wing, very slight libertarian, I guess. I guess if I was more libertarian, I'd be down here. So yeah, I would probably put myself about here, honestly. If I was just judging myself, this is probably where I would put myself, where I have the most. But I can live with that. So anyway, yeah, that was fun. Interesting. So anyway, yeah, that's about all I have. That's this week's survey time. I hope you found that interesting. I always find these results quite fascinating. So anyway, if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe, please. I'm trying to grow my channel, so the more subscriptions and the more likes makes it a lot easier. Share it if you find this topic interesting. Share it to people you know. And yeah, if you don't like the topic, leave a dislike. And always feel free to leave a comment. I don't swing my cane very hard anymore if I dislike your comment. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching.